Hello and welcome to another video. Here in North Carolina, the rain has stopped briefly. The sun has come out. It is almost 80, well, the sun was out. You can hear the spring bugs, and it is 80 degrees today. I know that is full spring, but here we are, and I am done working on things that are wool and polyester and fur lined and winter, and I want to make something spring. I also just finished binge watching Bridgerton, or not binge watching, I was watching Bridgerton with a friend of mine. We watched an episode every week, so we just finished that, and I'm in the mood for some Regency Historybounding. So here is the plan, and this is also a little bit of stash busting. I have this beautiful lightweight spotted cotton from Burnley and Trowbridge. I got it for another project, but I am gonna use it for this instead. I don't remember how much I bought of this, so I'm gonna have to measure it. But the plan is to use this to make a Regency dress. And since I'm making a Regency dress, even though it's history bounding, I want to make some Regency stays. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some short stays as like the wearable mock-up, so that this is like Regency style sports bra here. You can see that there's like bust support, and it gives that like lift and separate boobs on your chin effect. It's more pronounced here than here, but you know. And so I'm going to do that, and then I'll make some long stays because the pattern does both. But I'll make some short stays to go under this, and I'm going to make them in just some cotton. I do also have this fabric from Burnley and Trowbridge that I can use. It's like a stiff muslin that I can use for the corset. You can see the crinkles. It's got some nice structure to it. It's not quite couture. I have enough couture to do the short stays, but I think I'll use this for the long stays, and then I'll line it in like a linen. So I have that project planned, and I've got some plain white cotton, just like, you know, everybody else, in my scrap bin that I'm going to use to line the dress, because this is like super sheer, so I'm going to need to do some lining. And I think, hang on, let me go find the pattern. Alright, so I think I'm going to use this because I like the way the back looks. I like the front. This is a 1890s round gown. This is not actually like 1813 Bridgerton style. I don't care. I think this suits better the fabric that I have. And you can see, like, I'll probably make the sleeves shorter, just because it's modern, and I'm definitely going to make the dress shorter. But I like the fullness of the skirt. I like the way the neckline looks. I like the back detail. I could easily pair it with a modern belt. And then if I wanted to, I could make, like, the overdress, again, make it shorter, and have that as well for, like, something different, history bounding. So that's the plan for this project. But we're going to start with a mock-up of the stays. I'm going to start with the short stays. We're going to do a wearable mock-up of short stays with zip ties and couture. And then we'll see what happens, what kind of adjustments I make. Hello! So, it is Wednesday, and I am wrapping up what I'm doing for work today, and having some time between wrapping up with work and going to pick up the tiny human. So I thought now would be a great time to cut out my mock-up of my Regency stays. I have some more of this gorgeous, and I'm being sarcastic here, upholstery. I think it's outdoor upholstery fabric that I'm going to use, I think. This is left over from my grandmother's stash. I think she did some cushions or something for the living room in this. Not my aesthetic. abstract floral fruit print, not my aesthetic. Not for furniture, certainly. And so I'm gonna use this to cut out a mock-up of this just to test for like fit and to make sure I know what I'm doing, especially since this has those like bust gussets, and I think this also has hip gussets, and I've never done a gusset before, so that's gonna be fun. And I do mean fun, like I'm excited, I'm learning new things, but I also don't really know what I'm doing. So we're gonna try it out in this before I cut anything out in the coutil. I think I'm gonna order more coutil and use the coutil I have to make the short stays, maybe, if I don't have enough to do the full stays. And then when the coutil gets here, then I can use that, which means I really need to work on perfecting the fit around like the underbust and the bust gusset hoopty situation, but I do need to eventually sort out the hip gussets, because your girl got some hips and she's gonna need to sort that situation out. So here we go. All right, so I'm about to go pick up Emma, but I got all of the pattern pieces cut out of that fabric, and I got all the markings put on them, and they're laid out in order. Order of operations, I think, is going to be stay stitching the gussets, the bust gussets, and the hip gussets, and then that's going to be step 1. And then I think the assembly is pretty straightforward. It's just, once you do the gussets, attach the back to the side, attach the side to the front, attach the back to the side, attach the side to the front. Then you have one big long piece. And these need to be folded over. Actually, they're going to fold over the other way because I'm going to make this the outside. These need to be folded over so that you can have boning channels and eyelets, and I'm going to use my random colored eyelet hoopties that don't have washers on the back, just like I did on the lacing strip, because it doesn't matter. And when am I going to use like lime green eyelets? Like what project am I going to use those on? They came in a multi-pack, I don't know. So put the eyelets in. Also need an eyelet up here on the strap. And then that's, I think this point becomes an eyelet so that you can tie your strap and it's adjustable, which is nifty. And then I'm gonna use a paint stir stick, I think, as a stand-in for a busk, and just zip ties for the boning, because they're like boning channels here to protect the lacing strips. Boning channel here, but there's a hip gusset so it doesn't go all the way down. Boning channel here, but there's a bust gusset so it doesn't go all the way up. Same here. So I think it's just gussets, hip gussets, bust gussets, boning channels, assembly, eyelets, and then the mock-up should be done. Hopefully these aren't too hard. These scare me. Especially, like, not so much these. I think I have an idea of what I'm doing, because these two are separate. So you put this, you slit this open and you put this in here. And then you slit this open and you put this in there. But I have no clue, because these both go down here. That's going to be fun. Alright. I will do some more work on this tonight after Emma goes to bed. But we are going to go, I'm going to go get her and we're going to go outside and enjoy the sun and the warm weather. Alright, so I sewed in the hip gusset and woo, look, it's doing its job. It, like, will not lay flat anymore. It wants to pop up like that. Gussets, man. Gussets. It worked. It's just terrifying. Alright, so now that that one's done, I think I have successfully done that one. I'm gonna move on to these two. Alright, so I'm in the middle of sewing the gussets, but I just wanted to show you one of the things that I do when I'm making mock-ups is I find these sad, mostly empty spools of thread that I have and my bobbins that I have that don't match anything anymore, or I don't know what thread they match, or they only have a little bit left on them. And I use them to sew the mock-up, which means the mock-ups look crazy. The nice thing is I run through lots of thread, and I am slowly clearing off some space over there so maybe I can get some different colors. Probably I'll just end up buying more blue, let's be real. But there's space over there and I don't have to have them like double stacked as much yet. But as I run through these, that's a good thing. The annoying thing is this is like the 4th time that I've changed thread in the last 45 minutes. And I've emptied 2 bobbins. So that's annoying, but we're almost there. I have almost, I think I just barely finished this, and now I have one more gusset to sew, and then I think the gussets are all done. Or at least the inset gussets. I have one more set of hip gussets, but those don't go inside the middle of a piece, they go between 2 pieces. So yeah, there we are. Alright, so it's time for me to go to bed, but I wanted to check in with where I am. I folded over the edges of the back pieces and stitched down the boning channels, so those are ready for eyelets for fitting, and I'm just gonna pop an eyelet in there and not worry too much about it, because it's just, hopefully it doesn't need to survive more than one fitting. But I have the boning channels sewn in. I have these wild and crazy gussets in. The bust gussets are in. The hip gusset, one of the 2 hip gussets are in. This one is going to go in when I'm sewing the side seams. That's just like, whoa, on its own. So this is ready to go. What I'm gonna do, next step tomorrow evening, maybe. Tomorrow's Outlander night, probably not tomorrow evening, probably Friday night, is to sew in the pocket for the busk, which is going to be a paint stick, and then I'm going to put in the boning in the boning channels and attach it. I think I have to look at the instructions, I haven't gotten that far yet, but I think the gusset goes in first, and then after the gusset goes in, then you sew the sides together. Yeah. And then this goes together, and this goes together, and these will go together, and these will be together. And then we'll eyelet that situation. And I might attempt the binding, depending on how I'm going to do it, sew this all together and do a fitting and see how it goes. But if that goes well and this fits like basically out of the gate without any modifications, haha. And I don't want to like do anything else to it, I might try the bias binding, because apparently, oh, I'm tired. Apparently there is a drawstring that goes in here that holds the busk in place and helps shape the cups around the top part of your bust. So we'll see. We'll see. But next step is I'm taking the instructions upstairs with me to bed, and I will read them and see where we are. Rather pleased with the progress. Alright, so it is Thursday night, and while we were watching the first episode of Outlander, I put all of the eyelets. You can see they're like all kinds of crazy colors. I'm not even really sure. I think this came in the multi-pack with this thing. I'm not sure why they would give you like blue and red and green and gold, brass, whatever looking ones all came together in a pack. But these multicolored ones definitely all came together. Like, even the white ones make sense to me, but I don't know, like, brown? And there aren't a consistent number of them. I've also had a little bit of time, and so I was able to sew the back panel to the side panel, and I was able to attach the gore, the hip gores to the front panel. I have to press everything eventually, probably tomorrow, because I'm going to bed now because it's after 10 o'clock. But I have to press everything, and then I can attach everything together at the side seam and put in the boning, the zip ties and the boning channels, and figure out what I'm doing with the inside seam allowances, just to see if like they become boning channels or what happens with them, because I read the directions last night, but then everything fell out of my head because work. But we're at a point where we are so close to being able to do a mock-up. Oh, I forgot. I have 2 more eyelets to put in. I have to put in eyelets there, I think. Yeah. So that the straps, because this is the back, and this comes around to the front, and there's a loop there, and a loop there, and it ties together to be adjustable, which is nice, because, you know, having things that are adjustable is nice. But yeah, we're almost to the point where we can do a fitting. We should be able to do a fitting this weekend, and also you can see I marked the line for where the short stays would be. We might be able to do short stays. We'll see how much coutil I have, because if I have enough, I want to do the long ones, because that's just fun. I think I like that. But if I don't have enough, then I'll do the short stays. And I have linen for this project as well, and I'll definitely do one that is the linen short stays. But yeah, so that is where we are. And I will check in tomorrow. Alright, happy Friday, friends. I am back to work on my mock-up, and here's where we are. I've gotten everything assembled. You can see I put in the side hip gore, and there's the split hip gore, and I've got all the eyelets in, and all the pieces are sewn together, and I'm trying to shoehorn the zip ties I have in to the stays. This is fine. This is fine. These 2 are giving me trouble. I'm not sure what this situation is about. But I don't want to go unpick it, so we're just gonna force it through. I'm not super worried about this fabric. And then I also have the busk pocket here with the little drawstrings, the holes. I didn't need to put those in, but I have extra eyelets, so I just went with it. Yeah. And then I need to put another probably set of eyelets up here. I think that's what these are for, these dots, for figuring out where the strap goes. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to mark where I want the strap to tie after I I get it on. And I found we don't have any like good actual lacing cording, so I'm gonna try to use this. Probably not great, but this isn't supposed to be super tight. It's just supposed to be snug. And I have these that I will probably use to tie the straps themselves. We'll see if that's a feature I want to keep, or if that's something that I just decide to extend the strap and attach it. But yeah, that's where we are. Alright, so I think I am in need of an appropriate paint stick and more zip ties to use as boning in some of the other places that Redthreaded suggests you use boning. And once I do that, I can do another fitting, and that's gonna have to be tomorrow. Zach is making a trip to Lowe's anyway, so I'll do that, and then I will do another fitting and check in again. But until then, that's it for this project. I'm gonna go, well, for tonight, I'm gonna go Google some Regency Stays fit issues and how to resolve them, especially for the like hip area, because it feels like it might be too long-waisted, but it also feels like it might have just been laced too tight. It might be too small. I may need to, like, it fits in the bust. I may need to just like grade it up for the bottom. I don't know. I will check in tomorrow. Good afternoon. It is Saturday, and I am getting to work on some things that I saw last night. Some of the things that I saw when I was looking up how to fix this was actually, it's already included in the directions, which is turn those side seams into boning channels or put in cording. So I didn't do that. I was trying to skip some steps for mock-up, and I don't have the zip ties. Zach just went to Lowe's and Michael's, and he's gonna pick up a smaller paint stick, because let me show you the one that we have. For some reason we got like the king behemoth of all paint sticks, and it's like half an inch thick, probably like, it's 3/8 to a half an inch thick, and it's like, that's my hand. It's massive. It's very large. Those are 3 boxes of KN95s. It's taller than those, and there's like a ruler on it. You can see it's 14 inches, easily much longer than that, but those are the paint sticks that we have. We have 3 of them. That's way too big. So Zach is gonna acquire a regular paint stir stick for me to use for the busk. And what I am doing now is I am actually going to be top stitching down the seam allowances for more boning channels. You can see I sewed, I attached the boning channels it told me to attach, but I didn't make these boning channels. And I think this is supposed to be a boning channel, and I think I'm supposed to make a boning channel on each side of this seam here. And I think that will help that like lay nicely, because this is where there was a lot of wrinkling that was on top of the hip gusset. And like, this helped, having this boning channel above this hip gusset, this helped there, but this one was a whole hot mess. And then having the busk here to hold that flat. I also might end up going in and doing the binding with the drawstring along the top. And I do need to do the armhole strap situation, because that's another thing that I saw in the fixes, was making sure that you have the straps to help hold your, because your under bust point on your bodice is supposed to be higher than it naturally is to give that Regency lifted bust situation. So we're gonna try all of those things before I start making any other big modifications to the mock-up and see what happens. I do have another pattern, so if this doesn't work, I will just probably start with that other pattern and see if that works any better, just because sometimes different patterns work for different bodies. It's not that this is a bad pattern. It's not a bad pattern. It's just I don't know what I'm doing. And maybe the other pattern specifically has cording as opposed to boning. And maybe that's a better solution for my body. I don't know. We'll find out. Alright, so I thought I'd show you what I got done while I was waiting for, well, Emma was napping and I'm waiting for Zach to come back from the hardware store with the zip ties. So what I did, and some of this was in the instructions and some of this was just me winging it. And I don't know how much of it you're going to be able to see from this side. Okay, so I'm going to show you the back. What I did was I went in, and this is the top, this is where the strap comes out. I sewed down the seam allowance here to create a boning channel. This seam allowance where the gusset is pressed open so that you can have the gusset in there. And I stitched down either side of that to create there are two boning channels. One is in this seam allowance and one is in this seam allowance. And this, I think, will make a huge difference. I didn't think it would, but after trying it on, I think it really will. And then I also went in and I used black thread, so you can't really tell on this side. Yeah, there we go. I just stitched down the edge of the seam allowance to try to create some more like rigidity and stiffness here so that maybe this won't buckle. Because there's no boning or anything that goes in here. I think there might, in some other ones, be some cording to like keep this smooth, which was the goal, was to be smooth and just to like control any extra belly that you had. Because really, and if you're large chested, having the full long stays gives you the ability to put in a busk, which gives you the separation, and it gives you the support not just from your shoulder straps, it gives you support from the waist up for your bust, which is better for you, for your back if you have a large bust. But yeah, so that's where we are. I did that on both sides. When Zach gets back from the hardware store, I will put in the busk and the new boning and the boning channels. I did clip the zip ties that are in here because they were getting unwieldy and I didn't want to pull them out of the boning channels, so I cut them off. And I've got 3 zip ties that were in there to function as busk, but they were not working. And they are, as it turns out, too wide to go in here, so I'm just gonna have to wait. They're definitely too wide to go in here. They would fit in this top bit, but they would not go down here. That would not work. Yeah, so I'm just gonna wait for Zach. I'm gonna go wake up Emma, and I will probably try this on this evening. I'm gonna try it on and see how it goes, see what the boning does for the fit along the hips and the smoothness, etc., and having an appropriate busk situation. And then if I feel like I need to make additional modifications, I will. If I feel like I need to add the drawstring at the top to make sure that it's being supportive, I will. The last thing I'm going to do now is the straps. I'm trying to find that bit in the instructions, so that's it, and then I need to wake up Emma, so I will check in after she is in bed. Okay, so I've got the boning in, and that has resolved some of the wrinkling issues, like all of them right here. Shocking. I also have the paint star stick in here as the busk. And I'll spin so you can see the lacing, and it's not laced super tightly at the bottom because it's not supposed to be. The goal of a set of Regency Stays was to lift and separate the bust and then smooth everything out down here. Because you've got the waistline of your dress is here, and then it just goes straight down, so you don't want any like lumps or bumps, but you also don't need a teeny tiny waist. So I've got the shoulder straps attached, that's helped. I've got the buskin, that's helped. The boning has helped resolve the wrinkling. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and roll with this. I do need now to order a busk and the appropriate boning, because you can see like the zip ties that are back here are just not cutting it. They're pretty flimsy. I am gonna figure out a different situation, because the problem is if I put steel boning in it, it's not really washable anymore. Or it's not machine washable anymore, and if I'm wearing this as history bounding, I would like it to be machine washable. Hi. Can you say hi? No?
I'll be shy.
Okay, you're gonna be shy. So I need to order a busk. I need to figure out what I'm doing for the boning. I might order some synthetic whalebone, because that will be the appropriate width to go in there, but it'll be a little bit stronger than the stupid zip ties. And I will make the short stays. I think I will probably make them a little bit longer than this is marked, because this line here is supposed to be where the short stays stop. And I think I want just like a little bit longer to like the bottom of my rib cage. But yeah, I'm gonna make the short stays out of the couture and order the stuff that I need for the full length stays. And yeah, that's where we are. Mock-up complete.